Welcome to Breaking Solo, how solopreneurs break barriers, build brands, and embrace the future of business.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Solo. I'm very excited to have Evan Cox with me today as my guest. Evan, thank you for being with me.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so Donna and I, just before we hit record, we're talking about the difference of St. Louis versus Cincinnati and Chile and Skyline. So I definitely am Midwest through and through. Although I've lived across the globe, traveled the world, Midwest is home for me. And I am, like Donna and so many other folks in the solopreneur space, in the marketing or fundraising for nonprofit space. Most of what our work revolves around a key problem that we see time and time again, is that both entrepreneurs and executive directors at nonprofits are cutting their impact in half. And they're doing so because they forget or neglect to realize that they have more than one audience they serve. And when you realize that you serve more than one audience, you get to 2x your impact through relationships and through revenue. So that's what we do on a variety of fronts for a lot of folks in the marketing and fundraising space. And when it comes to Donna, we intersect at the world of go high level and story brand and marketing. And so I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. And Evan, I so appreciate that you work with nonprofits and help them to focus on both audiences. That is a huge benefit for them.
Yeah, it does make a very big difference because it's easy to focus just on one when you have limited time or bandwidth.
Yes, for sure. And that's what we all have.
I feel that through and through.
So have you always known that solopreneurship was going to be your path, or did you pivot from something else?
Oh, that is a great question. My journey had a couple of non-sexy moments that turned out to be hallmarks of my career. I spent a long time working in a large nonprofit, over 15 years, where we were doing humanitarian work, faith-based work, a variety of things all across the globe. And I found myself realizing that I was doing lawn care and maintenance outside. It was the only job available at the time. I was literally cutting the grass. I was mowing down the grass. I was trimming wheat. Like, that was my job day in and day out. During the process of realizing I wanted to serve in that space more and more, a job opportunity presented itself. There was an opening inside of the building, which we call, because I was outside, for an administrative assistant. Part of that assistant's role was to also do grant writing and a variety of things that were operational in nature. And so they rightly asked me early on, do you have any grant writing experience? And I said with full conviction and zero lies, yes. Thankfully, they didn't ask any further, and my experience was one day in college and one class we talked about it. That interview was on a Friday, and so I swung by Barnes & Noble on the way home. I picked up Grant Writing Demystified, which was like Grant Writing for Dummies. I read it cover to cover on Saturday, Sunday, came back, aced my interview on Monday, and then silently had that book under my desk while I got us federally grant registered for the first 6 months of my job. There were multiple career turns from then on out, lots of different moments where I was like, ooh, I approach and think about life and work differently. And that was one of them. But what really hit me was working in a nonprofit, zero shame, zero guilt, but the pay is not what you might find in a big tech firm, right? And my kids really wanted to go to preschool. My wife wanted them to go to preschool, at least part-time. And so I realized, okay, I've got this penchant for marketing. I've done and dabbled in websites and marketing. And so I approached this preschool with a proposition. I said, I have a problem and you do too. I have 2 kids who want to go to preschool. You don't have a website and you're not predictably bringing in new registrants or people to apply. What if we did a swap? I'll build you a website. I'll walk you through the process. I'll launch it and my kids go to school for free. On the spot, they said yes. I realized in that moment, I spent way less time working on that website and getting them the results than it would have taken me to do my normal job and pay for all of the year-long tuition. And they were very happy. And that was my first foray into being a solopreneur. And I thought, there might be something to this. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. I did the same thing to get my coaching certification in 2003 or 2002. I approached the school and said, I will build and manage your website for free tuition for the coaching certification. They also said yes immediately.
I love it. It
You
is
just
not
don't
a
know.
sustainable practice if you actually need money. So, like, at some point, you need clients who are paying you actual dollars. But in that scenario, I was like, wow, this bartering thing worked in both of our favors. And that is the goal of entrepreneurship, is not to hoodwink someone into something, but it's to find an equal exchange where both parties walk away happy. Sometimes there's money and sometimes there's not.
Exactly. So, with that being said, what's been your biggest challenge on your solopreneur journey?
Hmm.
And
I
have
don't know
you
if it,
over
I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's just one, but if I had to pick one that's most prevalent, it has nothing to do with marketing skills or business plans or any of the tactical stuff, although that's all important too. Um, I have a core belief about life and business, and it's this: entrepreneurship is a journey of self discovery disguised as building a business. Everybody thinks entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, like you're building a business, you're making money, you're doing marketing. All of those things are true. What I have found to be most true is that it exposes the state of my soul. It exposes what I know to be true or not true. It exposes gaps in my thinking and philosophy and approach. So, for example, I used to have no kids. Donna, do you remember the days of no kids? Like,
a
no
long
ki- Me too. It's been a long time. I've got 3 kids. And for me, my money psychology was not something I intentionally thought about. It was something that kind of built by default in the background, which means when I first got married, spending more than $20 to go out to eat with my wife felt like a fancy dinner. Well, newsflash, we've been married almost 20 years. We now have 3 kids. Going out to eat for $20 gets everyone a bag of peanuts, and we have to share it.
sure.
And and I realized that if I wasn't intentional, for example, my money psychology no longer served me well. My view of what expensive was didn't automatically shift because I started making more money or having more kids or having more expenses. And so a journey of self-discovery in that simple example is me realizing, ooh, the person my company needs me to be to lead it well into the future isn't who I am today. What needs to be true about the role that I hold in order for my company to hit the goals I'd like to see in a year or 3 or 5 years from now?
That is, excellent. I hope everybody that's listening understands that it's just an evolution that happens when you're a business owner, whether you're a solopreneur or not.
Yes, I spent $28 to get my business started. Everybody's got their founder story. Literally, my first business expense was $28. And now I spend more than $28 every single day on just keeping a business afloat. Probably more than $28 every few hours in some cases. Depends. You have to keep adjusting your approach and your psychology. Otherwise, the business will not grow and it's you who's holding it back.
For sure. We always get in our own way.
More often than I'd care to admit.
Yes, all of us. Yeah. So, what's a strategy? We know how you found your niche. What's a
Yeah.
strategy you use to stand out from your competitors?
Ooh, I love this question. Um, we both love story brands, so I'll use that as an example. The story brand framework used to be novel and new. Now it's still just as effective as it's ever been, but it's more commoditized because it's been around longer. The book's been distributed more. There might be more folks in the certified program. It's a natural evolution of any certification, not just story brand. Any framework, not just story brand. The more that you try to sell and offer the same thing that every other story brand guide is doing, the less you stand out and the less people know, like, and trust you. I am going to steal from a friend named Todd, a former story brand business coach. his approach to niche, which I think is so apt. He says a niche is not a market. It's a defensible place in the market.
I like that.
And I've tried to make that true in my own life, because the reality is you can't just say I work with nonprofits and you stand out, because guess what? There are lots of people who want to work with nonprofits, maybe more than any other industry, right? That's not enough to stand out. And so when it comes to the StoryBrand framework, for example, I still use the 7 parts and I still walk people through a workshop. I've done dozens of them this year so far. But I have my own unique approaches to StoryBrand that I now specify. And here's one of them. Please don't hurt me, Don Miller, if you're listening. I don't think a clear message works. I don't think it's enough. I don't think a clear message is enough. And while it sounds adversarial, I actually know it's true, and I can argue it in any case, and I can prove anyone else wrong. And here's why. We lost one of our dogs last summer. I knew we were going to get a new dog, Donna, and here's how I knew. I started receiving Pet Finder ads texted to me from my wife. It's the subtle signal that, like, it's time, we're getting a new dog, get on board or you don't get to pick. And a clear message is the equivalent of, I know what this is. I know what you offer. And my wife was sending me ads for a Great Dane. And I'm like, I know what this is, but I don't want it. It's big, it's furry, and it slobbers. But we hadn't had a pug before. And so I realized I want that thing. And that's the second layer of messaging that I use in StoryBrand. Clear as I know what this is. Compelling, I want what you offer. So for me, a pug was different because yes, it snores, but it doesn't slobber, and it's small and it's not big. But the reality is those two things are not enough either, because guess what? I can know what it is and I can want it and still not be able to afford it. And that's what happened last year. My wife is sending me all these ads and they're like purebred from a breeder and they're like $4,000. And I'm like, I don't want that. So the third layer of messaging is relevant. It has to be relevant, which is I know how what you're offering is different from every other offer on the market, which means when a family put up an ad that said we had a litter of puppies that we weren't expecting, we just want them to go to a good home. That is a relevant offer. Yes, we paid a little bit, but we didn't pay $4,000. It's clear. I know it's a dog. It's compelling because it's a pug, and it's relevant because I didn't pay out my 401k to buy it. And oftentimes when we think about the StoryBrand context, people don't have a unique point of view. And so for me, how do I stand out? What's my niche? I try to have a unique point of view and stand out, not based on who I'm serving, but the approach we take.
I love that, Evan. I love that.
And my pug is upstairs snoring somewhere up there. Her name is Coco.
I was going to say, and you convinced your wife to get a pug. So
yeah, my messaging worked, and she knew. She's like, it's going to be a real hard sell to get a Great Dane. Okay, Mastiff, no, but pug, like we could do that.
That's great. Well, congratulations. I'm glad you got your pug.
Thank you.
So tell me, what do you think industry trends for solopreneurs? What should they be paying attention to right now?
If we're going to riff on what we just talked about, it's climb the ladder with your message. Be clear, compelling, and relevant. Here's an example that hits closer to home. I was speaking with a business earlier this week, and it was clear that they needed help. But do you know how I decided who to send them to when I wasn't a fit? I had clear categories in my mind of people who do this thing for this kind of people with this unique approach. And for the people who've really positioned them well, where they're differentiated, they've got a unique point of view, guess what was happening? I was literally crossing off mentally. Okay, they cross this line, they might be a fit. They cross this line, they might be a fit. They cross this line. Ooh, and guess what? I even told the founder of the other agency. They didn't hit 2 of your parameters, so I didn't refer them because they didn't have strong product market fit, and they didn't have a high enough ACV, or average contract value. I told them, I'm like, they were a fit to work with you based on everything else outside of those 2 things that disqualified them. Every single business owner should have a equally strong list of what qualifies you to work with them and what doesn't qualify you to win.
That is incredibly powerful. I hope the listeners are taking notes on that one because that makes such a huge difference in wasting your time and not wasting your
Mhm.
time, spending time with people that actually can afford you and need you and fits all the parameters that you just mentioned.
And can I give you one more example?
Of course.
I oftentimes work with clients who need a variety of things, services that maybe I don't provide. And when someone says GHL, go high level, my first thought is I can do the basics, but if you've really messed up your go high level account, I've got someone to call and it's Donna. It's not me. Now, Donna, you do way more than just working one platform. There's a variety of services that you offer, but just as an initial example, we have a community of 700-ish people that are all using a similar framework. The moment someone says go high level, you catapult to the top of list of me saying like, oh, they might benefit from working with Donna. That's the kind of brand recall you want your audience to have.
Awesome. And thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, I've asked you plenty of questions. I've sent you folks. So, like that's an area that you want to have an expert for, as in all areas of business.
Exactly. Thank you. And I have received business as a result. So I appreciate it very much.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Okay. So tell me, what's one tool, app, or resource that you can't live without for your business?
Tool or app? I'm going to list a couple. Number one, all of my project management flows through Asana. I am averse to spending money when I don't have to. And so the fact that there's a free account for Asana that goes to a generous level of team members for anybody who's like, I work with lots of contractors. I think it's up to 15 people that you can have in your free account. For me, I'm like, oh, that hooked me early on. And now I'm stuck on the tool. When it comes to email, it's ActiveCampaign. Lots of tools can do lots of things. Those two, I know like the back of my hand. I use all of the time. I recommend and refer because of how we use them. And while business could still be conducted with a different set of tools, those tools, they're not even getting paid or endorsed. They're not a sponsor. But yeah, I'd recommend those two tools.
Great. Awesome. So I use Asana as well. It's a good project management tool, folks.
It really is. And there's lots of different nuances to how you can set it up. But the good news is it's pretty easy to get started.
Yeah, for sure. And it's easy to find people that are experts at it to help you if you really
True.
need something complicated.
Yes, very true. And the good news is, for solopreneurs, everything starts simple, but doesn't stay simple. Even if you don't add team members, simplicity scales, complexity doesn't. So trying to keep things as simple as possible is really helpful.
Yes, it is. Okay. What are your daily habits or routines that keep you focused or productive?
Permission to laugh at what I'm about to say, but this is true, and it's probably not true for everyone. A lot of people balk at this, but this is my routine. Outside of being sick or an anomaly, I wake up at the exact same time every single day, 5 o'clock. I have the exact same breakfast every single morning. I follow the exact same morning routine to a T. I don't deviate. I'm a person of faith. Not everyone has to be, but that means that I have the same amount of quiet and prayer time and reading. I also listen to the exact same playlist every single morning, and I only swap it about once a year. And my wife thinks I am nuts, and I probably am. But for me, there's something about routine and consistency and dependability that centers my world and helps me get creative because I've done foundations before. So not everybody do the same thing. You don't have to do the playlist. Everybody laughs at me because my Spotify playlist is like 3 artists. But it seems to be a really good fit for me.
That is incredible. Now, I have a pretty good routine, but it is not as structured as yours is. Like, I don't eat the same breakfast. I but I eat probably the same 3 breakfasts.
Hey, there you go. It's whatever works. And like, to be fully honest, because my wife may listen to this and like call me out, it's normally oatmeal. I prefer apples and cinnamon oatmeal if possible. We were out this morning, and so I had yogurt with granola. It's probably pretty similar. I mean, there's room for deviation, but I wake up with the same intent and same approach to every day.
Wow, good for you, but 5 a.m.? That's what my husband does. I am not that early of a riser.
I didn't used to be. I didn't like it, but I realized, and this is another solopreneur tip, is that my work wasn't very flexible for a season on a number of factors, but they were flexible on the days that I worked. And so I shifted when I still had a 9 to 5 to 4 10-hour days a week, which meant that I worked 6 to 4 Monday through Thursday and had a Friday off to build my business and do sales calls and that sort of thing. And I had already developed a habit of getting up early anyways, because I was working with international offices who needed to talk early. But it was that season of realizing that for me, early hours are when I knock out the stuff that I can't do at any other time.
That's awesome, and it's so helpful to have that extra day that
Yeah.
you get either focus on your business or focus on something else like family time or whatever it is.
Yeah. Donna, are you familiar with, or do you know David C. Baker, the author?
I don't think so.
Okay. In the last couple of years, he's been a real voice of reason for me in the agency solopreneur space. He runs a podcast with Blair Enns called the Two Ops Podcast. I'll probably butcher this, but he essentially says in his books and in some episodes that you need to have a hobby or a thing outside of work that is so important to you that at the end of the day, it is calling you to leave your desk and pursue something that is not work related. And while that may feel like I don't have time for that, it actually makes your point of view, your worldview, and your ability to do work with clients 10 times better. Having a diverse set of hobbies is not something I was good at in the beginning, but I have found that having a hobby that I am excited about tinkering with outside of my work makes me a more well-rounded human, spouse, entrepreneur.
And it also helps with your creativity,
It absolutely does.
having that that break from work. That's awesome.
Donna, can I be the interviewer for a moment? Can I flip the script?
Of course.
What is one of your hobbies? I don't think I've ever asked you. What is a hobby that you enjoy outside of work?
Oh, it would be gardening.
For my wife too. Just getting your hands in there and not having to type it. It's very anti everything we do every day. I love that.
Yeah. And then if I'm not gardening like right now because the snow is, 18 inches deep,
Yeah.
it's cooking. So I love to make different things for my family, and they don't always like it, but I enjoy making it anyway.
I love to grill. During the pandemic, was cooking a lot. We even made a game out of it, and I said that we're going to give mom a week off of cooking. I did all the groceries, all the ordering. I did Pinterest. I made a full, several course meal Monday through Friday. And then I did something that mom has never wanted to do, and we laughed the whole time. I gave the kids cards, and they rated every meal at the end, 1 through 10. And then we said, should we make it again? And only 2 survived. Quesadillas and fajitas, which are basically the same thing.
Right.
I didn't like any of the other dinners, but we had a good time with it. It was like the Olympics, which are happening soon, right? It's like you get a 3.4, like this fails.
That's great. Okay, tell me, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone that's just starting their solopreneur journey?
We have a 1A and a 1. The first one is, at the end of every project or purchase, whatever it is that you're doing, don't fall for the trap of good, bad, right, or wrong. I did that early on in my journey, and I was like, gosh, that project really sucked. Ooh, I didn't do a good job. Or, ooh, that was a good job. Don't fall for that trap. And instead, ask the question, next time, what would I like to do more of or less of? So softer approach. And I realized that even when I royally screw up, I learned something that helps me change my practice, my approach, our process. I learn insight from my audience, and I'm looking for patterns. So it's not right or wrong. It's what would I like to do more of or less of next time? So that would be 1A. And then number 2, if you're just getting started and you're trying to figure things out, whether it's your service offering or your market or your niche or like any of those pieces, I like to remember a quote from Seth Godin about your reputation. I can't take credit for it. I'll just take it. Your reputation has as much impact on your life as what you actually do. And the only way to have a good reputation is to do work that you're proud of.
Absolutely. I would give that a 5-star.
Hey,
So
I would too. It's not mine. I think Seth probably deserves a 5-star in anything. But literally, as part of my morning routine, those 3 statements from him are plastered at the top of an Evernote note that I look at every single day.
that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I hope the listeners really pay attention to the nuggets you just gave them.
Well, hopefully in there's at least one thing that might be helpful, because the reality is, like, it might sound polished or it might sound professional, but I've literally made every mistake in the book because I've been in business for a long time. And so what I'm saying now is like, yeah, I say that because I did the opposite. I did the opposite of that.
Yes, me too. But I don't want to think about that.
Well, everybody can relate with our blemishes as much as our beauties.
That's true. That's very true. So, Evan, do you have any exciting projects or launches you'd like to share?
Yes, I've got a couple. I realized that I was doing, and this was a number of years ago, I was doing a lot of deliverable work. And as we've talked about before, the strategy was kind of baked into deliverables so that we did the right thing and then did it right. It was about 3 years ago that I started offering strategy in an intentional format with a specific approach and style. And so I'm really happy that that's become one of our larger service offerings over the past couple of years, specifically around helping people build a strategic marketing plan or a strategic fundraising plan, with the gist that it's way better to swap all the things to try for a simple plan to follow. And so we're kicking off a number of those engagements for some really cool clients who are doing some really important work. As a matter of fact, right before we got on our call, I was just on a call with a client who's serving in South Africa. They do a variety of projects, but one of them is they rescue girls who are being attacked and eaten by crocodiles because they
Oh,
have to walk for water in order to feed and supply their neighborhood. And so for me, yes, I do most of my work through the lens of marketing and fundraising and business strategy, but I am also equally grateful that the work we're doing is impacting some really cool causes like that.
that's amazing. Yes, save those girls. That is just horrific to think about.
It really is. It is. But playing a very small part in it, but honored to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I guess. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Evan, where can people connect with you and learn more about what you do?
Ooh, great question. You can look in one of 2 places. You can go to evancoxconsulting.com or thecausecompany.com. One of the things we haven't talked about yet is the idea of launching multiple brands and how all that works as an entrepreneur. If you're in the nonprofit space and you specifically want fundraising or marketing help for your cause, you can look at thecausecompany.com. And if you'd like help with a variety of other marketing related things, more on the business side, it's evancoxconsulting.com.
I didn't know you had 2 brands. Good for you.
I do. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for go ahead.
You're welcome. What I would say, and you didn't ask me to do this. I know you wouldn't ask me to do this. But for anybody who's listening, Donna is a wealth of knowledge on so many fronts, whether it's writing books or go high level or any number of other things. And yes, the things that you do could probably be done by other marketers just like me too. But what is unique, Donna, for you is that in the communities behind closed doors that you and I are in, you are constantly showing up, offering value, helping people with no expectation of return. And I think that so embodies the kind of person that people want to work with. So you didn't ask me to plug your business, but I'm just noting that if somebody is looking for anything that you offer, you would get a good service, but you'd get an even better human.
Aw, you're going to make me cry, Evan, on my own podcast.
On your own podcast. So
Thank you so much. That is very kind of you.
you're
And it's
welcome.
always been my focus is to just provide value.
Yes, same here. Well, thank you for having me today. It was an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you for being here. And we'll see you, audience. We'll see you in another week. We appreciate your time. And if you have not left a review for the podcast, please do so now. Thank you.
Bye.